In this video, I will show you how to create a fairy tale fantasy self-portrait. I have a tiny space, a little creativity, and a big imagination. I use Pxlr and PicMonkey editors, and I try to keep it simple, so beginners can follow along and practice creating your own fun art pieces. Creating your style is a matter of individual taste, and if you are new to this, you will develop your trademark look as you see what elements look good to you. Future videos will include how to take your photos using Canon Camera Connect, create headpieces and costumes, photograph objects to use as overlays, and more. Links are included to the tools that I use and to my social media pages. Please. Okay, here we are in the Pxlr editor program. And first I change my background, my workspace, to an 8x10 size. Then I will paint the background black, which gets rid of those checks, because we don't want any of that showing through. So I just start with the black background. So first we're going to add our layer of our forest scene, which I took outside my yard. And we're going to put our fairy in this picture here. So I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit, because we're going to fit her pretty much in the center of that scene. So you can stretch it out, move it around however you want to place it. Now at this point I can also change, first you have to click on the picture, and then I can change the color, the brightness, which I'm going to make it a little darker. You can change your saturation, your hues, just to get it in the coloring that you like. Then we're going to go back to the layer and add the fairy model. And this was prepared with a black background because we're going to make it a screen. So go to blend mode, screen, and the background disappears. So put her in the place that you want her, and make sure that you're not going to want to move her again, because once you do this next step, it's not going to be possible to move her somewhere else. So you're going to click on your background layer, and we're going to erase what is behind her that is showing through that picture. So get a nice soft brush and start clicking over her, and be careful of the edges. I usually do the bigger parts first and just kind of erase all of the bush and things that you see in the background of her skirt, and that's how we eliminate that. And once you do the bigger part of it, get a little bit finer brush that's not so fuzzy on the ends for the edges, so you have a nice crisp edge to the dress. You don't want any black fuzziness going out over the edges. Unless you have a really dark background, it won't matter. But in this case, it would show, so we want to be really careful to carefully Take the time to go around every bit of the edges of that dress and her hair. And while you are on this, these separate layers, you can also adjust her brightness and coloring and that sort of thing before you merge it, because we want to blend the lighting and the shadows and things to make it look like she's really in this beautiful forest scene. Next, we're going to put our wings on. So you have another layer, move it to the top. The layer that you're working on, you want it on the top of the bars on the right hand side. Now you can go to your edit and free transform and make it the size that you want it. And if you go to free transform, you can make them longer, bigger, smaller, skinnier, whatever shape that you like. And you can see that her dress is showing through a little too bright. So we're going to erase that. Same procedure, only this time you're going to click on her, not the trees, because her dress is what's showing. So we're going to go ahead and just go over your wing with a soft brush and carefully click on it around your edges, and that whiteness will disappear. It's just a little too bright. Even though the wings are transparent, we want to darken that just by erasing it. And the more you do this, you start playing around with different things, and you will learn different tricks too. Now you can change before you duplicate, you can change your saturation, your brightness, even the hues if you want to just change the colors altogether. So you can add more purple, more blue, more green, change it to more oranges, which is kind of what I did to match the background of flower colors. Then I like to go into details and add some green, clarity, maybe smooth them a little bit, makes them look more realistic. You can see it will bring out those veins a little bit. Add a little bit of clarity, not too much, but you can see the difference. And then once you get the look that you want with your colors and your textures, then you're going to duplicate that wing, and we're going to flip it around and go right up to the bar above you, flip horizontal. And there we have our second beautiful fairy wing. And just by looking at the body shape, position, she's kind of tilted a little bit. We want to make sure that the wings look like they're really on her back. We're going to do the same thing on this side with the eraser on the dress. And I'm not going to erase her hair because we're going to put the hair on top of that wing. So I need to make the dress the brush a little smaller and just get rid of that white brightness under there. You can reduce your opacity on that wing so you can see the hair better, which is what I'm going to do here. So on that wing, you just erase over. So I can see the hair better. We just lowered that opacity down. And now I can see the hair, so I'm going to carefully not erase too much off to the side there. And when you go around your edges, you want that finer detail, so you want to use a smaller brush that's not as soft. So in your brush tool, you can play around and see what works best for you. Now we put the opacity back, and now her hair is on the outside of her wing and it looks more natural. Now keep in mind, this is just for demonstration. This is not a polished photo. Normally I spend maybe 15 hours on one picture. This is just to show you the steps that I take to put these together. So now, before we merge these 3 layers, I'm going to put a little bit of darkness behind the wing, and this will just darken the grass and the trees and make her wings stand out just a little bit from the background. Gives it a little more of a 3D look. And that's something that takes practice, is the shadows and the highlights, to make your overall picture look like it was all taken by one picture, not made out of several elements. So as you can see, as I darken it a little bit, those wings start to really pop. And while I'm in there, I'm going to just hit lighten and go around the left side where it's dark and just brighten up a few of those little light colored leaves. It gives it a little more dimension. With Dodge and Burn is a really great tool. So you just have to play around with it and experiment. And if you make a mistake, don't panic. Go to your edit button up there and just click undo. I use that a lot. I make lots of mistakes as I'm going. So that edit button gets a lot of use for me. Just undo it and then you can start over. So now we just merged our layers together, and always duplicate your layer. If you start working on that layer that has the padlock, you're going to ruin the picture. You have to have that copy to work on. That's your workspace right there. Always get it get in the habit of checking that because I've done it too many times. So, and I've had to start completely over and wasted hours of work because I forgot to duplicate the layer. So now we're going to add a dove, and once again we're going to create a screen by going to the blend mode. You're right clicking on your blue bar and you can click the screen and then the black will disappear. And you can change it to however big or small you want it. Move it to where you want them to be. Looks like he's going to be landing on her finger. Okay, so once you have the bird where you want it, I will merge it, merge visible, and then duplicate the layer. Next, we're going to add some fog. And go ahead and turn it into the screen. It needs stretched out. You can make it the size you want, the opacity you want. Move it around till you like how it looks. The opacity will make it a little less thick. And I wanted to flip it around because I wanted more on the right side. It was a little thicker, so you're happy with that? Merge that layer and duplicate. And then we're going to add some sun rays. So also go to your blend mode, screen if it's black, and that makes it transparent. And we're going to move it to the corner because it looks like the sun is shining on the bird and the right side of her dress. So as you can see right here, I forgot to click on the rays, and it's on the padlock layer. And I'm wondering why it's not erasing. Well, there you go. You have to be on the right layer. Now you can erase the little excess of the light that you don't want in certain areas. Make a nice soft brush. You don't want any harsh edges to show on any kind of sun rays or fog. It has to be very soft. So larger, softer brushes for that technique. Duplicate the layer. And now we're going to the details filter. And we'll put some Gaussian blur, which is my favorite tool. And I usually go to PicMonkey and put the final soft texture on. For some reason, theirs is my favorite one. It gives it a shimmery, soft, glowy finish to it. It's really beautiful. So in this one I added some Gaussian and I'm just erasing a little bit You know, if there's some places where you want it not so soft, like on faces especially, hair, the bird. And then once you get it to the look you want, go ahead and merge that and duplicate. Now we're adding a vignette. Now this is cool because you can do white or black. So depending on the look you're going for this example, we'll just use the black. Okay, because it's sort of a dark, foresty feel. And then I'm going to erase the black around this right corner because that's where our sun is coming through. And I want all that light to peek through the tree. And also around this bush here I thought was too dark, so I'm erasing some of that black off of that. And now it looks like the light is hitting that corner. So it's shaping up to look like a real picture, real scene that you took of this beautiful fairy out in the woods. And looks pretty good. So the last thing that we're going to do is add some little fairy lights, as we call them. You can make stars, little spots, and you can change your color. You can do this in several different layers, like merge, do a few light stars, merge it, do some bigger, brighter stars, merge it. That way you can have a variety of lights to make it look like some are close, some are far, some are dim, some are light, so they're not all exactly the same. We want them to be soft, and you have to fiddle with the size to get just the right size that you want, and put them on the darkest spots of the picture because that's where they will show up the best. So I made them a light gold color, kind of soft. So you want to take your time with this part too, and like I said, make some different shades, different light, some darker, some brighter, bigger, smaller, kind of give the effect of that they're all throughout the woods around her. You can buy overlays if you don't want to do this yourself. I suggest Etsy for all things digital. And you can get some beautiful fairy lights, beautiful wings, and they're so simple to use. So if you want to go that route, they're not expensive. But if you're on a tight budget and you really are trying to save money and not invest a lot into these different things, you know, you can make your own. Sorry about the bill notification there. So if you're just starting out, maybe you're not sure you're going to really want to do this, or maybe it's not for you in the long run. You don't want to spend money on a lot of things that you may end up not using. So this is one way to do it, and you can make it look very pretty and very realistic. You just have to take your time and practice. On getting that realistic look. So after we're finished, you of course merge your layers and duplicate, and then you can add your final textures. I always add a little bit of grain to the entire picture. It gives it that film look. The Gaussian blur, you can smooth it. You can add separate texture layers that you can also purchase or make your own. If you want to make your own, we'll probably do a video on that as well. Because as I said, if you don't want to spend money on all these extra things, you can make your own layers, your textures, flowers, objects, all these things you can photograph and use of your own things in your own pictures, and then you're really original. So, and you're saving money. If you have a camera, you can do it. Anyone can do this. I taught myself how to do it. I've spent thousands of hours practicing and playing around and learning how to do all these cool things, and anyone can learn it. It just takes time, but it's not impossible. So there's our picture. We added our watermark, and we're going to save it. Save it in whatever folder that you like, so that you can grab it later and share it with your friends on Facebook and Instagram and show them what a wonderful artist you are. There you go. So there's our fairy.